startup money to start a government contract agency or any type of agency, a government contract agency or a nonprofit agency. I'm Stenell, also known as Stenell the Money Therapist. Welcome to my home. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my world, y'all. Do you need startup money to start a government contract agency or any type of agency? The answer to that is yes and no. When I first started, let me tell y'all, I was broke. I was broke. I was really broke. I want y'all to get this. I was broke. I started interviewing in Starbucks. True story. Had no office. I had nothing but the dream that God gave me. And I was on unemployment. I was teaching at Camden County College and Drexel University. I was getting partial unemployment. True story. And when I went after the contracts and I was able and I landed the government contract and the after school program contract at the same time, literally. I talk about this really in my podcast, No More Excuses, Wake Up. And when I got the contracts, I had to start interviewing because the school year was going to start for the after school program. It was coming up. It was in the summer. And I remember school starts in September. I got awarded in June, and awarded means that I'm getting this money to start this contract now, and I have to put all these players in place, and I don't have no players. I don't have nobody but me and Jesus. So I'm trying to interview for Joy Making a Difference. I'm trying to interview for Second Touch, my healthcare agency, and I only went with what I had was a dream. And it's coming into fruition. And I'm like, okay, how do I do this? So I didn't have no money to get a building or anything. So I started off at Starbucks. I remember I interviewed and I hired my site coordinator. And I also hired, same day, I hired my person that does my administrative computer work as a secretary. And then I had to meet with, that was for my after school program. Then I had to meet with the person from Medicaid for my healthcare agency. And I had said, well, I don't have an agency. Guess where I met her at? I met her at Starbucks. I said, listen, I'm starting off. I'm going to have an agency. I'm going to have an office in about 2 months. I didn't have an office. I said, listen, I met the young lady from Medicaid. I said, I'm going to have an office in about 2 months. And she met me at Starbucks and just really gave me the fundamentals of what I needed, what to look for, the different things, just running down the software and everything to how to bill now, how to bill Medicaid. So I'm talking to this woman how to bill Medicaid in Starbucks, yeah, because it was free. I didn't have nowhere else to go. In 2 months, I contacted her. She came out. She met with me. She met with Jeannie in our 700 square foot office. I hope I'm helping somebody because I want you to know when you're starting off, a lot of people don't get started because they say, oh, I need X amount of dollars. Let me tell you, when I first started, I didn't have any money. Then as I started working with my after school program and I was getting a check that was coming in, I took out a grant. No, I took out a loan through ASEAN for $3,000 because when I went to the bank, I was denied, of course, and I got a $3,000 loan, and I believe my husband took out a $2,000 loan on his pension for me. I would never recommend anyone taking money off their pension. I know now, as Stenell the Money Therapist, I wouldn't recommend it. So I think I had $5,000. And with this, what I did was I found the building. It was $400 a month from a really nice lawyer. And it was a small 700 square feet building. And what I did with that, I just paid down all the bills. So if I paid 3 or 4 months in advance or 2 months in advance, I made sure that I had a nice budget amount to pay Jeannie, who's my administrative assistant. I made sure that I had enough money to meet payroll. I only had literally probably one person at the time that was working for me other than Jeannie. I had one person. and I was working with that person. I wasn't on payroll, but that person was on payroll in Genie. I recall it was two people. And I took that money and I made that money just hold the best stability that it possibly could. And I just paid down everything that I needed. I paid down everything administratively to run the office because $400 was doable. So I say that you have to sacrifice, and you have to sacrifice yourself in order to build anything, right? It's sacrifices. And I did sacrifice because I knew I couldn't afford $1,000 a month. I just started. $400 was doable because remember, I had an after school program. And remember, if you listen to me, I was doing self-esteem groups, and I was saving all of those checks with my self-esteem groups, and I was putting it in my after school program bank account. And so when I started, I didn't have anything for a second touch. And sometimes we go after things that is bigger for us to chew. And so I don't want you to go after things for, oh, let me go and get a $5,000 is a lot to me still, but let me go and get a $5,000 loan, a $10,000 loan. Even in this economy now, in this expensive economy now, look what happened with the pandemic. People are working inside their homes. I had no choice but to work in my home because I didn't have no money. I had no choice. It was Starbucks in my home, and Jeannie was like, we need to work together because you and you're giving me things to do, but we're working remotely. I was sending her to classes, had to get certifications, all these different things. So I say this to say, stop making excuses. Stop making excuses saying that you don't have money to do X, Y, Z. Stop. I had someone to tell me that way back in the day, the reason why they didn't start their agency is because they didn't have enough money for their insurance, for their general liability insurance. I said, well, how much is it? Well, I don't know. Well, how you don't know if you have enough money if you don't know and didn't do the research to find out? So if that's your fear right there, don't be afraid. People are afraid when it comes to insurance. Insurance is, you need insurance to protect your agency, but don't let that be the reason why you don't get it. And that was another thing. And that $5,000 was insurance for me to be able to put down a deposit for both of my agencies. I was like taking that thing, boy. And you know, the woman with the oil and the son, and she said to the prophet, she said, I am going to bake this bread and I'm going to use this oil. And God kept pouring that oil and pouring that oil and pouring that oil. And that's what that $5,000 was doing for me. I was getting everything that I needed done because I didn't have much. I just had a wish, a dream, and I went with it. And that dream was everything to me. And that's my truth. And that's my story. And you have to be disciplined. What's important is that you have to be disciplined with your finances. If you're not disciplined with you and your personal finances, you're not going to be able to be disciplined with a business. Because in that same building, it was a young lady across from me, and she had 2 separate offices, and they equal $700. I didn't want to spend $700 at the time because I didn't have it. Now I'm in a 2,000 square foot, and my rent is so much more, and I don't like that either because I don't like paying rent. I just don't. I don't like paying bills. I don't like paying bills at all. But if you say, okay, I'm going to go and spend $700, but you don't have $700 that is coming into your business and it's not feeding in your business, and you taking that $700 out of your pocket, and you never saved or built your business up in order to say, okay, I saved a certain amount of money, but I'm running that through the business. If it's coming out of your personal, that's a problem because your business is not making a profit. And if your business is not making a profit, we have a problem. Because you want to make sure that you're making a profit before you start off, and now you're paying rent to someone that you really cannot afford. And that, I'm so glad I did not do that. I'm glad that I was able to say, okay, this is $400, but I think I can squeeze it in, and I think I can do it, and I did it. And I was at that building for 3 years, and I'm very grateful for that because it allowed me to understand that I didn't need much. And although I'm in something bigger, it's still letting me think because of the pandemic that I still don't need much. What I need is to make sure that I have in YouTube that you have a nice, clean place that your staff can actually go to, your clients can come in, and you can be able to afford. That is the bottom line. So starting a government contract agency, do you need startup money? You do. Do you need a lot? You don't. A EIN number is free. A NPI number is free. A entity is about $60 for an entity and $25-$30 for a business bank account. That's $100. You eat that. That's nothing. That's $100. And I say that it's nothing because when it's for a business, it's nothing. Take that $100, start your entity, and also open up a business, and you have to, your minimum is $25, and boom, now you're rolling a little bit. So if you say startup money, yes, but now with the day and age, and now we have different buildings that you can actually rent out and have people come to you and not really having a whole brick and mortar for yourself. I think that's real feasible. I had just got my hair done in here in Florida, and the young lady, it was a building, and when you go into the building, it has everybody and what they do in their suite, and it was a lot of hair and in that cosmetology field and all of that. And I thought it was like, wow, this is good because you don't have to own the actual brick and mortar. Now, if you're in real estate like I am, that's a whole different thing. But when you're starting off, don't bite more than you can chew. And sometimes people bite more than they can chew. And when you do that, you're out of business before you can even start business. Please don't do that. Don't have your finances exceed a large percentage of your personal income. A business, and I talk about this when I talk about revenue and profits in my episode of No More Excuses, Wake Up. A business, you're supposed to have something at the end. Your net is after every single thing, after everything, your gross income, everything that is coming in. So go out there, start, stop making excuses. Don't say, I don't have this, I need this, I need that, because your girl right here started interviewing in Starbucks. Please subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, so I can continue to create and give you more content and let you know what I'm doing in my world.